Breathing in, 1, 2, 3. Breathing out, 1, 2, 3. Không để yên hay không không nặng ra. You may take a deeper and slower breath if you like. Deeper and slower breath. Now we are going to do positive thinking exercise. That's a form of Buddhist meditation. What I want you to do is to actively revisit your past, your effort, your successes, your contribution to the society. Just choose one of them and think about them. How hard you work, the contribution you have made. Just to rejoice in the effort that you have put in. It's important to revisit the positive fact, positive events, positive qualities in our life. To stay connected with them. think about your friend, or maybe your best friend or your colleague who works very hard and who has contributed a lot into the company, into the society, into the family life. Just think of one person and appreciate that person. Okay, the time is up now, it's 10 minutes. Thank you for the meditation, for joining me in this meditation session. So, who is firing the questions?
Okay, Venerable, should I invite the first youth to ask Venerable the question? We have Sister Amelia. Are you there?
Yeah, I am. Good afternoon, Venerable.
Okay, Amelia, please.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Much for the meditation session. My name is Amelia. I'm from Malaysia. I am currently a student and I'm 16 years old this year. My question is, could you give your advice on how youth can always lead a compassionate life? You know, especially because there's so much like pain in the world. So like, how can we make sure we are doing good and avoid any negative emotions? Thank you.
When we talk about compassionate life, we need to get the philosophical framework, okay, that the Buddha has explained us. In terms of philosophical framework, we need to see a big picture of life. A big picture of life means that life has constant frustration. So this frustration or this pain is something that we can work with instead of trying to run away from it, instead of trying to block it off, to avoid it. The Buddha said we should embrace it and change ourselves along the way. So we are confronted we are confronted with two choices when we face pain. One is to feel frustration, anger, and disappointment. That's the negative reaction. But the positive reaction part is to feel that pain mindfully and in a universal manner, from universal perspective. Because very often the mind tends to go into a mode like, why me, why me? Because when we are in pain, we can't really see that other people are also in pain. We can't really see. At that moment, our intrinsic reaction is to protect ourselves. By protecting ourselves, what do? We cut ourselves off from other people. So if we understand the intrinsic reaction pattern that everybody has in this situation, now we can understand why the Buddha wants us to train our mind by focusing on pain. Because by focusing on pain, we can sympathize, or even better, higher than that, we can empathize. We can empathize with other people, meaning we can understand their pain. But understanding their pain is only one step towards living a compassionate life. We need to be thinking. We need to be thinking about the solution, what we can do. When we see people in pain, for example, teenagers like you have a lot of peer pressures. So when you look at other people, other teenagers, facing a lot of peer pressure, parents' expectation, the school's expectation, the country's expectation, and your own expectation. When you face all of those things, and when you can connect with the pressure that other teenagers are also facing, then you can see some perspective. When you see some perspective, the pressure is not increasing. It will not be increasing. Instead, it will be reducing. The pressure will be a lot more easier to handle. So with this philosophical framework and also psychological understanding, what we can do then is to stay connected with the problem in the world and at the same time accept our own limit. When we accept our limit, we are just trying to be more focused so that we don't, our mind doesn't scatter all over the places. With that, what I'm saying is that, like a student like you, when you study English, when you study math, science, or anything, any subject, you need to find a purpose, that what you study will be a contribution, not just for your own life progress, but also towards the wider society. So by linking what you're doing in the school with the needs of the society, especially in solving problem of the country, of the world, of the society, if you can link that, even when just by going to school on a daily basis, just doing you study regularly, you are actually living, you're living a compassionate life because your purpose, your attitude is compassionate. With that, everything you say, everything you do will come out as compassionate. Your relationship with your family members, with your friends, with your school, they will appear as compassionate. So this question is important for other questions. That is why I spent a bit more time on this. I want to get it right. Buddhist attitude is based on problem solving. It's problem orientated. So when you study biology, you need to do this not just because you need to get a good mark, good results, but because you need to understand this in order to help yourself, to help the society. The knowledge of biology is very important, for example. It's very important. So from a young age, in your attitude, if you include the welfare of the society and see, whatever you do, you are reducing the suffering, the pain of the society. If you see it that way, you are living a compassionate life. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. Very insightful explanation on how we deal with pain. Thank you. The next person we have is Sister Sharing Dorka. Sister Sharing, are you there?
Yes. Hello, you're Venerable. My name is Sringdolkar. I'm from Bhutan and I work in an NGO. I am 24 years old. My question is, how can we practice compassion towards people who are intentionally involved in bad things such as murder, rape, or hurting someone? Thank you.
Thank you. Sharing, I have been to Bhutan, I have been to Thimphu, so I feel connected with you. Your question is very important to everyone who has to deal with crime and disorder in the society. One important point I'd like to bring to your attention from the teaching of the Buddha is that when we talk about compassion, we need to imagine, maybe the word imagine is not the right word, but we need to reflect that the person who is committing a crime is helpless. If we have not trained our emotion, our own emotion, maybe this is difficult. The first thing we need to do is to protect the victim, which is all right, to protect the victim. But we will only be protecting this one particular victim if we do not have this criminal, if we don't reform this person. So in order to reform this person, in order to remain committed on the path of compassion and solve the problem from its root, the way we should reflect is that to reflect that this criminal is helpless. It's a lot easier if we study clinical psychology, to see that problem people, criminals, they They don't know anything better, and they have a lot of obsessive behavior. Not only that, they may come from an oppressive or an oppressed background. They themselves may have been oppressed. They themselves may have been violated. So somebody who has been violated finds it easy to violate other people. So this is where we say samsara, that's the cycle of suffering going on. Some people, they feel powerless in their life because they have been oppressed all along, sometimes not just oppressed, but also in the society, they have been degraded. They feel so insignificant being part of the society. They have no voice. They feel they have no role, they have no participation. For them, in order to show that they are powerful, they have to pick on somebody weaker than them. If they pick on somebody weaker than them, now they feel good. They feel that they are powerful. They are being recognized. So this is the psychology of those who commit severe crimes. A few people have written on this, but sometimes, okay, people they don't know better, and as a result, they themselves are victim. Similar to what I just explained earlier. If they feel victimized and powerless, in order to feel powerful, people just commit crime. It's horrible. It's horrible. So we must tackle not only the crime, but also the root of crime. The root of crime, the psychology of crime. Only then we will be preventing these people from committing. I'm not sure in Vajrayana Buddhism. In Theravada Buddhism, we have an example of somebody who has murdered 999 people. And when he met the Buddha, he became transformed. He dropped everything. That may be the worst scenario ever recorded. But being a Buddhist or following the teaching of the Buddha is about remaining positive that we can change. We can change, including changing those people, the rapists and murderers that you mentioned. Do I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. So the next set of questions, Venerables, is around teenager, and we have Sister Laura.
Good afternoon, Seattle. My name is Laura, and I'm currently in Singapore. So my question for you is, I agree that we should be nice and kind to everyone and help anyone in need as much as we can without expecting anything in return. But what if we are taken for advantage and treat us as a pushover and they make use of us? How should we react to this? And should we still sacrifice ourselves to and continue giving? Thank you.
Thank you for this question. I still want to go back to the first question, the framework, the philosophical framework, because I take that framework from the Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths is about reducing problem. reducing problem. Okay, if somebody is taking advantage of me, but I think in both the short and the long run, this person is going to understand, is going to realize at some point very soon, and then the person might reform. You can see where I come from. I'm going to tolerate this person because I think my tolerance will reduce, okay, his and my suffering. But if I judge that the person has a strong tendency, maybe is his trait, to take advantage of other people like that, then I might say just no, and I might just tell him off. So here, tolerance or no tolerance, they have the same purpose. That purpose is, in my judgment, what I tolerate, I do so because I believe is going to reduce his and my pain, the overall pain. But when I don't tolerate, when I tell him off, when I say no, maybe when I say something a little bit quite straightforward, that's because I also believe by doing so, that will reduce his problem in the long run. He will learn from that. He will learn from that. He can't really he can't carry on doing like this. So our kindness, okay, has to be rooted in the philosophical framework of whatever we do so to reduce suffering. Okay, whatever we do to reduce suffering. So if I remain passive when somebody takes advantage of me, that has to be because I believe by being silent, I'm reducing some problem. Okay, so being passive is my choice at that time. But if I remain to be, or if I choose to be vocal, to be very reactive, very responsive to his behavior, and that's also, because I believe that's we use the word upaya kaushana. That's a skillful mean, okay, to convince the person that what he's doing is not right. So our kindness has to be rooted in the belief, I repeat again, in the belief that we can reduce problem, we can reduce suffering, and it depends on our judgment on individual basis. Do you get me?
Yeah, I get it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. The next question is also about teenager from Sister Renzi.
Good afternoon, Bante. I am
Hello.
Renzi from Jakarta, Indonesia, and I'm a mother of a very young kid. So during my conversations with my son and his friends, I found out that these suicidal thoughts come very easily amongst them, and it occurs like they told me that it occurs like almost every day that they do have these suicidal thoughts. So how do I guide these young people to have positive missions in life and appreciate life better? Thank you.
Your question strikes me. I know that according to research, what I've read from America, the thought of suicide, okay, is getting younger and younger. That is in younger people up to the age of 12. Up to the age of 12. But younger than that, I have never heard of it. So here, children, when they are young, their emotions are still vulnerable. Their emotion still needs to be nurtured. We need to nurture their emotion. One thing that parents make mistake is to substitute parents with gadgets, with iPad, iPhone, those things, because parents are getting a lot busier. When that happens, children, they don't feel connected emotionally with people, including their parents. So they would only turn to their parents when they need something. So they see their parent as a money tree, as a bank. So and that's not the right attitude. So what we need to do then is to look at how the parent and children interact and how much time they spend together. When we spend time together, with children, in conservative family, we are so eager to teach them. But listening to their imagination, often is not part of our plan. But when we read child psychology, we will know that it's so important to actually listen to children. If children want to say something, to tell us their imagination, how they see the world, whatever, we shouldn't be laughing at them. Instead, we should be laughing with them. Okay, we shouldn't be laughing at them. Instead, we should be laughing with them. Laughing with them, and we should enjoy them. We should enjoy their story. They may change every day. That's okay. That's part of growing up. If we do so, children, they will feel very reassured that somebody understands them, that there is someone, okay, mommy and daddy, maybe their friend who understand. This emotional reassurance, I would say, is the biggest, the most important element in their emotional development, in child emotional development. When they feel bored, if they feel bored easily, maybe there is no enough interaction between them and their friend, like physical interaction such as sport, doing things together, that sort of thing. That sort of thing. As a mother, I'm sure you know the Big Nanny from America. Program Big Nanny. Children, they get bored with food, with their mother prepares for them, because they have no participation in that. And then mom just tell them, do this, do that, do this, do that. They get fed up with that. And as they grow old, they are getting older, they want recognition. They want recognition for whatever they do. If they get that recognition, they will have motivation to do something. They wouldn't get bored. So the Big Nanny, she advise the mother, actually the parent, both mom and dad, to take the young kids to the supermarket. And before they go, they do a shopping list, and over there they shop according to that list, and they let the children participate. Okay, take the carrot and take some banana, take some milk, and at home they let the children participate in the cooking to the extent that they can do. You know, earlier children who are very difficult at the dinner table, now they are very enthusiastic with eating. They are very keen to eat. So what we are saying here now is, I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming parents, okay? I mean, parenting is an ever-evolving art. It's changing all the time. It lasts only one generation, okay? What your parents know how to do parenting is not valid with you anymore. You don't accept every advice they give you, except some of them. Some of them you would say, Mom, time has changed. So I want you to look at this problem from this point of view as well, from what I've just said. The other thing is, there's a research, well-researched, that psychologists have done, child psychologists. And children who spend so much time on iPad, on social media, and on digital devices like cartoon, they have less skill, they have less social skill to interact with human beings. And this particular group of young people, they will get bored easily. Their cartoons, their games change all the time. You need to buy them a new one all the time. With that, the kind of psychology that they grow up with is to get something new, to play with that, and then abandon it, and then get something new. When they get something new, why they get that? Because they are not happy with the old one anymore. So when you see children talking about getting bored, you can many toys they had when they were young. If they just have so many, okay, they cannot identify with that. But if they only have one toy, I have seen some students in university as a fresher, they bring the toys they were given when they were born, not because their parents couldn't afford it, not because they cannot afford it, and identifying with this particular toy. As an 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, coming to the university, and you can still identify with the upset, you hug your toy and you don't get bored easily if you have that quality. But if you keep changing things, and they will have problem with boredom. I hope I answered some of your question.
Thank you very much, Bante. Very
Thank
good.
you.
The next question, Venerable, is from Kanmin.
Hello, Seattle. I hope you're feeling well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. My name is Khammai, and I'm from Town G, and I'm currently studying in Australia, and I'm 23 years old now. Yeah. Today, I would like to ask about I would like to ask about the importance of self-esteem in the business environment and among the youths, because some business people and youths during these days are only focused on developing their self-confidence and they do not focus not much on self-esteem. That's why, yeah, I would like to know about that. Yeah, and I don't know. I want to know why. Thank you.
Thank you, Khammai. And your mom and your grandma, okay, they are still doing very well here with us. Okay, very nice that you're doing well there. Now, I want to give you some homework instead of answering your question at length. Okay. In psychology, there's a subject called self-esteem. There's also what we call self-confidence. In the early days, psychologists, they only focus on self-esteem, not self-confidence. You know, the kind of thing they recommend parents and teachers to do, that's to be assertive. They teach children to be assertive. So they send children to a judo, karate club. No, this is to build a self-esteem. So here, at this point, I want to recommend you to read one scholar. She's a professor of clinical psychology from Texas. She's a Buddhist with a PhD from Berkeley. Her name is Kristin Neff. Okay, not CH, okay. Kristin. Kristin. Neff is Neff. Kristin Neff. So you can search her, and she would explain you the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence. Psychologically, in brief, self-esteem focuses on ourselves, it's self-centered. Self-confidence is not only focusing on ourselves, but focusing on our social environment. That's the difference. This is to say self-confidence is less self-centered. Self-esteem is more self-centered. When you have self-confidence, self-esteem is part of this. But when you have self-esteem, self-confidence is not part of that. That's the technical explanation that they give you. People, okay, who go to karate school, who become assertive, sometimes they bully other students in the school. That's the side effect of self-esteem. But with self-confidence, you wouldn't have this. So I want to, this is a big subject. So even TED Talks, okay, she speak about the subject. I just would like to recommend you and all the audience to look at this because she is a person who is regarded as an authority on self-compassion. She brings clinical psychology and Buddhist teaching on compassion together. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. The next question is from Sister Yi.
Good afternoon, Seattle.
Afternoon.
My name is Yi Win, and I'm from Myanmar, and I'm 24 years old and currently studying in Thailand. my question is a little bit related with decision making. Because right now, because of COVID-19, I'm so frustrated, and I feel so much pressure on me, or whether should I go back or stay in Thailand or something like that. Every time I face so much choices and so much decision, it's take a lot of time for me, and then I always frustrated and always confusing or choosing the right one. So how can I reduce my confusion or frustration for?
Thank you. Thank you. This is it looks an easy question, but it's very difficult to answer. If I were you, if I in your place, I would be thinking what I should be doing rather than where I should be living. You see?
Yeah.
When I think about what I should be doing, I should be thinking, if I'm in Bangkok, would I be contributing towards the progress of my future and also other people? Or would I contribute more if I'm in Yangon? Or in my case, if I'm in Oxford? Okay, so frustration with the COVID-19, and this one, you need to get some perspective. You need to see a big picture. You need to see a big picture. This pandemic affects everyone. The Thai government, the Myanmar government, Singaporean government, the British, the American, the Chinese government, every government. That means more than 95% of business people are also affected, or education sector in the world are also affected. So when you see that way, it's a lot easier to cope with frustration, to cope with that. But if you want to solve this difficulty, you just for yourself, and if you're not thinking about the wider problem, the problem in wider society, you wouldn't be able to solve this problem totally, because we are in this together. We are in this pandemic together. So your frustration and your decision making, I want you to deal with them separately. For your frustration, you need to meditate and focus on that, and also listen to other people who feel a lot of frustration. Okay, including politicians, business people, teachers, school administrators, university administrators, everyone, airline, and everybody. You listen to their frustration. You can turn this frustration into compassion, into empathy. Empathy, in Burmese we call it kuchinsa, into empathy. And that will make you strong. And then when your mind is not frustrated anymore, your decision making will be a lot easier. I say this from neurological point of view. When you're frustrated, it's likely that the amygdala at the back of the brain is active. If the amygdala is active, our decision making can be wrong, because the executive brain is at the front. Is called cortex, frontal cortex. So from neurological point of view, when we are so frustrated, we need to avoid making big decision. And when you are calm enough, no more frustration, then whatever decision you make, it will be the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. Very, very good advice for all of us. Our next question relating to mindfulness is from I Tetmon. I Tetmon, are you online?
Maybe eat that one. Eat that one.
Itetmon. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Eat that one.
Good afternoon, Shadow.
Perhaps
Okay.
it's not online yet. So
Yes.
we go to the next person.
We have her. We have her.
Yadana.
Yes. Good afternoon, Seattle.
Afternoon.
My name is Itamon, and I'm currently working in Singapore as an IT professional. I'm 37 years old. My question is related to how do I remain balanced between living with intention, when I also remain calm and peaceful? Because sometimes I don't want to be too complacent out of my comfort zone, where when I'm in too challenging or stressful environment, I become nervous and become very stressful. So how do I remain the balance between these two? Thank you, Seattle.
For a short term and long term. For a short term, okay, you do breathing meditation and you do some physical exercise for short term. There will help you to calm down and not too nervous. Not too nervous. Because it relates to the hormone that we produce in our body and also the emotional state that we have. The emotional state that we have is that when we can connect with the people we are working with, maybe new people, maybe some people who are too high up, like that, you know, then we feel nervous because we can't feel connected with them. We can't connect with them. So the for the short term, do maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes breathing meditation every day, just after breathing exercise, you know, look at tension in your body, especially your face, your forehead, like this. If there's tension, okay, you need to relax them. Relax them. At the same time, do a bit of physical exercise. This will help you in the short run. In the long run, though, you need to learn how to connect with everyone in the world. Everyone in the world. That means you need to look at people beyond their position, beyond their title, beyond the degree they have obtained from university. Okay, then you need to look beyond that. The way the Buddha looks at that is he looks at suffering. He looks at suffering. If I give you one easy example, every few hours, every 5-6 hours, you feel hungry. You feel hungry. When you feel hungry, and you don't eat anything for maybe another hour, you will feel that your physical body is being tortured. It's like being tortured because the gas from the system is producing and is torturing the body. If you project that experience to everyone in your office, starting from CEO, director, manager, then you feel connected to them. Another thing is that you work and you earn because you need to earn a living. You need to support yourself. Okay. And if you project this to them, okay, they also need to earn. They need to earn a living. They need to look after themselves. Then you have some connection. So the kind of connection that I'm talking about is experiential. And in a bigger word, there's a bigger word we call existential. This is a bigger word, existential. So when we use existential experience to connect with them, then we don't actually feel nervous anymore. We don't feel nervous. And another thing, psychologically, everybody wants to be recognized. We want to be recognized. If we are not recognized, it's very hard to be part of the society. So if you think, okay, everyone who are there to judge you, actually they also need recognition. And you also need recognition. Me, I also need recognition. So if we find something in common with those people, then you will certainly connect with them. You stay connect with them. So long you stay connect with them, you won't feel nervous. In a company, if you say, okay, my boss, they want this, I also want this. We want the company to make progress so that it can contribute to the economy, at the same time taking care of the customers and also all the staff. So if we see it that way, we feel connected. If you feel connected, then you wouldn't feel so nervous. At the same time, you will have motivation, because motivation is the big factor in working life. If our motivation is the right one, then we also reduce stress and anxiety. So this is the second one, is for the long run. You can transform your attitude, your mindset, and then you'll be okay.
Thank you, Venerable. The next set of questions, Venerable, is relating to family. And so we have Sister Yadana U.
My name is Venerable. I'm from Yangon, Myanmar, and I'm working at environmental sector, and I'm 27 years old. My question is, when I was deeply fall in love with my families and the people I love, I worry too much and I concern too much seriously about them. Whenever I have a misunderstanding with them, that really makes me suffering, and that really makes me angry. Although I'm a quite calm and flexible person with my friends and colleagues, but I'm quite different person with my family and people I love. Whenever I always feel I've never received enough love as much as I gave them. So that really makes me exhausted and really suffering, especially to me, for both sides. Can you give me kindly advice how to keep my mind to love the people peacefully, and what is the foundation of lovely kindness to love the people with metta? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Khammai. What I'm going to be saying may be relevant or may not be relevant to you, but I hope you get some thought from this. Among the family members, okay, we have more expectation, on each other than appreciation. When we expect each other so much, we don't have enough time to appreciate because of the expectation. You expect your family members to understand you. You haven't explained them anything, but you expect them to understand you. If with strangers, you wouldn't understand them to expect, or you wouldn't expect them to understand you if you have not explained them. Say, when you come to your best friend, if it's a problem you have not really explained her, you wouldn't expect her to understand you. So what you do is you make an effort to explain her. The point here is that you don't take your best friend for granted. Okay, but as family members, we take each other for granted. That comes from constant expectation. Since we were young, our parents expect us to be like this, to be like that. We also expect from them. We expect from them. We expect them to be our bank, to be our protector, to be people who understand us, who support us. We also expect them. Because of this constant expectation, we fail to see a lot of positive things that we have among our family members. This is the first one. The second one is in a family where there is more than one child, usually there is sibling rivalry. Okay, they compete with each other. They compete for parents' attention. They compete for recognition. They compete for love, parental love, like this. Everywhere where there is competition, there is fear. There's fear. We gladly say, okay, thank you to our best friends, to strangers, okay, to a stranger who make way for us, okay, when we come face to face. We are grateful to them. At home, our family members make way for us all the time. We also make way for them. But we think this is this is what we deserve. This is our birthright. You know? Why we say this? If I say thank you, okay, to my sibling, I fear that they would take advantage of me. That sort of thing to me. These are psychological issues that we face. Every family you will have this. You will have this, and it's even more when family member, okay, each have their own family. They got married, they have their own family. When we have to deal with in-law now, we still expect our sibling to be the same. We don't understand that they have more obligation. You know, fear of losing them, fear of them, okay, not understanding us as before. So today, in analyzing your question, I focus on two things. One is expectation. The other is fear. Yeah, there's fear. So if you work on this, when you interact with your family, is there a fear factor? Is there an expectation factor? If you focus on this, I hope, okay, your relationship with your family will be much better. You can say no sometimes to your family. That's okay. That's okay. Simply because we are family, we don't have to say yes all the time. Because everybody has limit. Has limit. It's only kind, okay, that we recognize our limit, and we also recognize that limit. So just as it's all right for us to say no to them, it should also be all right when they say no to us. Okay. So I hope I have given you some new dimension, okay, in family relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. The next person is Shane Tu. Shane, are you still in the Zoom call? Shane? If not, we move to Yi Win Wang.
Good evening, Seado. I am Yu, 17 years old from Singapore. I'm currently a student. My question is, donations are made with the intention to help, and the poor needs the money more than the monks. Are Buddhist donations made with the expectation of something in return, as donation to monks are considered to be of more merit? Thank you.
Thank you. This is a very good question. I think somewhere else, okay, he used to speak about this. There may be many factors involved. The most important thing about donation is the donation that we give with compassion. With compassion. But not everyone is in that state, at that level. Not everyone, okay, has practiced compassion. So when they make a donation, they actually focus on themselves rather than the receiver. The receiver. So people think in terms of results. People think that way. This is reality. But some people, they have no habit of sharing at all. They have no habit of sharing. So for them, usually in the traditional Buddhist society, they would start with a project that the monks initiate. And here, usually the monks, they are able to explain what their project is about, what their needs are. Now, when we talk about the poor, they are not in a position to explain, to articulate as the monks do. So this is to say, okay, in today's marketing economy, poor people, they don't have a voice and they don't know public relations. But the monks, they know this. They know this. That is why the monks, they attract more attention. Of course, the Buddha, in one place, the Buddha would say, if a particular monk is virtuous, then the donation, okay, would yield results better. That is to say, to encourage people to support the people who practice. But that doesn't mean that, okay, we should, making donation to the poor and to the needy is not beneficial. It doesn't mean that. It just means that, okay, the Buddhist Sangha has been there for 2,600 years, is very well organized and a well organized organization. In that sense, people know how to what their needs are. But when it comes to the poor people, if we talk about, say, for example, a very organized way of helping poor people, in this pandemic period in Myanmar, for example, there are people who live in the slum, and there are people who have difficulty supporting themselves. Actually, the people come out supporting them. In Myanmar, we have a program of supporting, offering rice to the needy around the country. So I do not see your question as either or, choosing one of them. I just think when you make a donation to monks, okay, you need to know for what and to whom, to which monk. And when you talk about poor people, and we also need to ask this question, the same question. In England, in the late 1990s, just before the turn of the century, there was a big discussion to tackle poverty and also to tackle the root of poverty. Banking is a crime in England because they think that encourages people not to work. Is a crime. So the first time when Buddhist monks went to England, when they went in the morning, went out to collect their alms, their food, they got arrested. One thing that we need to think about is if the monasteries, if the temple, if the churches, if they go extravagant, okay, to the extent of spending the donation unnecessarily on decorating the monastery, instead of using those donations to have the people to facilitate the people to study and also to learn meditation. One point that I was trying to make is that Buddhist monks, they live an institution. They live as an institution, and poor people, they don't live as an institution. So the power of attraction between those two, they are different. Then who is a more deserving cause? I would think that, okay, tackling poverty, especially tackling the roots of poverty, including the system, economic system, political system, social system, they are important, they're as important. So when we look at your question in a wider perspective, I want you to consider all those issues, because it's not just a simple comparison between a donation to a Buddhist monk and a donation to the poor. I hope I provoke some thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. We change to a different topic now. We have Sister Casey, who is interested to know more about past life.
Okay. Hello, Seattle. So I'm Casey from Singapore, a recent graduate. My question is, from what I hear, there are some people, very few selected few, who recall some memories of their past lives, and why is this the case?
I don't know. I don't know. I never recall my past life, so I only read in books just like you. Well, but to recall past life is fascinating. Fascinating. About 4 or 5 years after World War II, that is around 1949 or 1950, many people many children, like 4 years old, 5 years old, even 6, 7 years old, in Germany, many of those kids, especially boys, they start talking about their past lives. But in a strange culture, because in Christianity, you don't have past life. You don't have, so the teachers discourage them from talking like that. They consider it to be New Age. What those little children were talking was about their experiences in the war, how they got killed. Because they were 20, 25, 26, maybe 23 years old, who got conscripted into the army and then sent to the front line, and they got killed. Not just in Germany, but in other countries in Europe also. If it were today, if it happened today, with more science and with more enlightenment, people would study them because it's fascinating. So that's what I can say. But one thing I like to make a point is that Buddhism links rebirth with ethics. And we're trying to explain the differences that people have at the beginning of their life with this ethical responsibility. Sometimes we call this karma. This is to say, whatever we do is not waste. We have to take care of the responsibility, good or bad. So this is to encourage us to be ethical, to take moral responsibility in whatever we do. Because in Buddhism, we don't believe in a powerful creator creating the whole world. The fact that people are different is down to their choices in the past. The choices in their past life, what they chose to do. Some people chose to be generous, some people chose to be accommodating towards the society, their friends, involving them like that. But some people, they were plainly selfish, self-centered. So those people, they couldn't be the same. They couldn't be the same. In that regard, we are interested in rebirth. But rebirth is confirmed only at the point of enlightenment. And I'm not there yet, I want to tell you. So if you are there before me, you must help me. Okay.
Thank you, Venerable. Shane, I notice you are back on the line. I'm going to ask a question, Shane. If not, we move to Ted Thierry.
Hello,
Hi, Seattle. I hope I'm feeling.
I can hear you, but I don't see you.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Are you at home?
Yeah, I'm at home, but the background's not my house, obviously. It's too nice
Okay.
in my house.
It seems that you are still in Oxford.
No, I'm in Singapore now. I've been back home. I've been working. It's been about a month, so yeah. It's been good.
Okay, what's your question?
I wanted to ask you what your thoughts were on the idea of Pong, men or certain people having a higher status supposedly, right? Is it a cultural concept or something more religious and rooted in Buddhism? And how can we reconcile this with a modern way of living?
I must be very careful with your question. Today we have only one question from a man and all the rest from girls, you see. So I must vote for you. And Pong is something. This Burmese word is like power. It's like kind of mysterious power. But that's how it's popularly understood. But if you're interested in philology is the study of the word that comes from Ponya. Ponya means kudo in Burmese. That means wholesome deed, wholesome action. When I say this much, you already got the answer, because when we talk about wholesome action, it has no gender. It has no gender. So now I'm going to analyze your question from Buddhist text. In one place, the Buddha talks about ethical standard. Say a man and a woman living as a family. Okay, if the husband follow the 5 precepts, the 5 precepts, they are all social contract. They are about caring. They're about caring about human being. The first one, not to oppress people, not to torture, not to harm them. The second one, to respect their property, their right to property. The third one, to respect their family. The fourth one, to respect means of communication, that is the truth. And the last one is not to use intoxication, because that also affects our faculty in communicating with other people. So the Buddha said, if the husband is virtuous, upholding the 5 precepts, and the wife is not, then the husband is like an angel. The wife is like somebody who is already dead, so an angel living with a dead woman. Vice versa, if the wife upholds the virtue of the 5 precepts, but the man, the husband, is immoral, he behaves badly, like man behaving badly. Okay, if that, then she is the angel living with a dead man. The conclusion is that it's your moral quality that counts, not your gender.
Okay.
And another point, when we talk about the Buddhist practices, we need to go back to the Noble Eightfold Path, okay, the 8 constituents that make up the middle path. That's all that we need to practice. if you examine the Noble Eightfold Path, it has no gender specific, no age specific either, no social status either in that. And believe me, okay, there's no nation or nationality specific either. An Arab person, okay, may be, you know, as efficient in his practices towards enlightenment, just as a Burmese, a Singaporean, a Thai. So we have one Egyptian in Myanmar, you know, who has become very fluent in English. He was an IT person. I was so amazed, even before he became a monk, when I listened to him talking about the Dhamma. It was so profound, so profound. So this is to say the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the source of home, see? The source of home, the source of punya, is no gender specific, is no time and space specific. You got me?
Yeah, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. And we have Brother William Toon for the next question.
Oh, the second man. Hello, William.
Hello, Seattle. So my question today concerns the nature of God. So I've been reading the Upanishads because I've been trying to learn more about Buddhism. And I'm aware that Buddhism actually branched from the Vedic texts. And I'm trying to understand now why it chose to branch off in certain ways. And by reading the Upanishads, I learned that a lot of the Vedic ideas have this concept of Brahman and this higher being. So I guess my question then is, well, actually, I also, upon reading this, I also looked up on YouTube various accounts of near-death experiences of people who have almost died in hospital, but thanks to modern medicine has been brought back to life. And a lot of them actually account stories which you hear from other religions, this idea of a light that you see at the end of life, of infinite compassion that descends upon an individual when they die. And if it was just one person, I would think it's just a hallucination. But it seems to be it seems to be happening across the board. And furthermore, apart from these accounts, and there's a particularly interesting one with a neurosurgeon as well, people who are staunchly atheist after having these near-death experiences start to reconsider their belief in a higher being. And I also think at this point in my life that even if God does not exist, there are so many religions which have this concept of a higher being. And it appears to, at the very least, be psychologically beneficial to the proponents of each of these religions. It gives them comfort in a time when they are facing, in the depth of darkness. And it also provides a moral judge to ensure that they live by the standards of morality. So it appears as though there's a lot of backing for this concept of a higher being. And you said early on that Buddhism does not believe in a higher being or a God, but could you explain the reasoning why Buddhism decided to branch off from this higher being concept?
I'm going to explain Buddhism in a very simple way because you have studied with me since you were young. And also, I'm not going to derive you from the benefit that those people got, okay, from living in a higher being. We don't believe in one single higher being, but we believe in many higher beings. Only with the exception that they don't overrule our life. Instead, okay, our life is still in our hand. We believe in many heavenly beings, and many of them who benefit from our good action, they also return something to us, meaning that they protect us. In Tibetan Buddhism, in Bhutanese Buddhism, Mongolian Buddhism, in Chinese Buddhism, even in Theravada Buddhism, Myanmar, Thai, Sri Lankan, people believe in that kind of, we call them deities. Okay, so they are heavenly beings. Not all of them are in a position to protect human beings, because some of them, they're just like everyone else. But there are some of them who have accumulated more of good qualities, and those people, they are in a position to also take care of other people. So with those near-death experiences, okay, we don't have any query. We don't actually have any argument with them. We would say that, okay, depending on their emotional status, if their emotional status is sober and calm, or maybe less self-centered at that moment, accepting what was happening, letting go, and at that moment, their mind status is similar to some of the mind status, the mental status of higher beings. So when we talk about Abhidhamma, we talk about the mind status of the sixth heaven, the 15 Brahma heaven, whatever. But the meditator is still here in human world. The similarity between him and those being above is that they have similar components in their minds, in the maker of their mind at that moment. So in that sense, we don't actually have any quarrel, okay, with those people who believe in higher being, but just that those higher beings, even though they are in a position to assist us in some way, they are not in a position to reward or to punish us. It's our own action that rewards us and punishes us. We don't actually use the word reward or punishment. Instead, we use the word results or consequences, that sort of thing. Now, when it comes to Upanishad and the Vedic thought, one documentary quite easily available and very accurate in its narrative is Bethany Hughes. From the BBC, she's a historian. If you search the genius of the world and the Buddha, the genius of the world, I think you have 5 or 6 series, including Plato and Confucius, like this, and one of them is Buddha. In this, okay, she has given a very good historical development of Buddhism.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I can see your mom. I can see your mom there. Nghe con là được mở đầu với này. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Venerable, we come to the last question from those who have submitted earlier. This last question is from Tet Om.
Minglava Siaro. I am Tata from Myanmar. I am 20 years old now and a university student. As for me, I am studying in the University of Medicine. So sometimes I feel like I am very indecisive in making some decision. This because I'm afraid of making wrong decision. So sometimes I feel like I lost some opportunities to grab. So I would like to ask you some advice. How can I train myself to be able to make right decision? Because making right decision is important for my professional. I think although it is also important in every case. So I would like to ask your advice, Sarah.
Thank you to me. Decision making comes from a set of preparation. So I would like to talk about those preparations so that you can put them in place and good decision will come out of it. The first one is intention. That is motivation. Intention. In medical school, people compete with each other. To get into medical school, and after they have got into medical school, people still compete in the class. Like that. So if the intention is to do better or to do as good as your friend, I think this intention is not wholesome. It's not the best one. I wouldn't say it's wrong. I would say it's not the best one. It's not the best one. Your intention should be to save life, to take care of people. So if you're interested in the program of the patient, which year you are now? In medical school, which year you are? Tata, can you hear me? I can't. Yeah, she's speaking, but she's muted, I think.
Oh, okay, Sarah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I am final part 2 MBBS last year of the medical school.
Okay, so you are already you have already been through the clinical learning, clinical study.
Yes.
What you should be focusing is to be focusing on the pain, the discomfort, the suffering, the helplessness of the patient. So if you are interested in their problem, in reducing their problem, then that motivation, will give you a lot of impetus to go and look for information to train yourself because you are interested in solving that problem. That will help you, to learn more and more and deeper, and also to remember more, because your focus is not on exam anymore. Instead, your focus is on the patient. With this, I'm changing your focus from exam, from doing right, by taking your focus from that towards the patient. towards helping the patient, then right decision will come out of it. The reason is that as a medical student, you know, when you feel the pain of your patient, when you empathize with them, when you feel that pain, we call that compassion. That compassion produces oxytocin hormone. That oxytocin hormone is associated with the anterior cortex in the prefrontal cortex and also insulin. So the oxytocin hormone is also associated with executive brain, which is about making the right decision. But if you are worried about making the wrong decision, that means you are actually producing cortisol hormone. You know, as a medic, you know this better than me. So when you are producing so much cortisol hormone, you are likely to make mistakes because you're under stress. You are, you know, in distress. You're under pressure. You put yourself under pressure. So what you need to do is to change your emotion, to change your focus. Your focus to just think about many patients. If you are doing like a pediatric exam, for example, instead of thinking so much about exam, you should be thinking more about the children that you have seen in the ward. When you talk about when you are going to do when you talk about surgery, then you should be thinking about how helpless those patients are. Okay, how they put themselves in the hands of the doctors, under the knife, under the scalpel. So look at how helpless they are. Then if you can connect with their pain like that, the more you can do, the more oxytocin you produce, the more right decision you will be making. So just change your focus completely. I hope this helps.
Thank you,
which medical school you go to?
University of Medicine 1, Yangon, Labrador.
Yeah, I visited your medical school, I think in January or February.
Yeah, I knew I am also in there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you, Sarah.
So thank you, Venerable, and thank you for all the youth who asked the question. We have asked a total of 13 questions.
Oh.
And it's almost coming to 2 hours.
Wilson, well done to me and well done to all of you.
Yeah, and Venerable, you have given us very good answers. I personally learned a lot. I hope everybody also learned a lot. It's a very wide range of questions, from compassion to teenage life, even to family life, to business, and even about some real Dhamma. So I admire you, Venerable, to tackle such a broad range of questions. Right?
Thank you.
Right. And for those who likes to know more and continue learning the Dhamma, please log on to the OBVS Facebook. They always got classes there, and please continue to learn the Dhamma as it will help us in our passage of life. So now I'd like to invite Sister Mary, the president of OBVS, to say a few words as part of the closing remark.
Hello, thank you very much for your time and all your valuable advice. And I'm sure a lot of the youth have learned a lot from you. And I want to thank all the participants. Please connect with us on OBB Facebook, OBBS Facebook, so that you can continue to learn the Dhamma And if you have any question, you can always post on the Facebook. We'll try to help you out. And I also want to thank those people who came in to join the Zoom dialogue or the VIP invited guests. Thank you again. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you. Mary, today with younger people, you also look so much younger.
Thank you. Yeah, I forgot to thank, because this dialogue is for the youth, by the youth, and Saint Mia Duin, she has helped a lot to sort of organize this Zoom, so all the technical issue and things like that, all she's able to handle well. And also I want to thank Brother Wilson anyway. Yeah, without them, I don't think I will be able to help. Thank you again, Sedo. Thanks for your time. Important is thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sedo. Right. And thank you, everyone.